Ya comienza Artistas All Over the World con Verónica Alegre. Encontranos en IGTV y en YouTube.
Hello, we are in Artistas All Over the World, and today we have an international invitee. Her name is Liz Hinlein. She is a filmmaker, creative director. She is also a cinematographer, producer, and also a teacher at the New York Film Academy. Welcome to the program. Hello.
Thank you so much, Veronica. So exciting to be here.
Thank you, thank you. So you are from America?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In which place do you born?
No, I was born in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Oh, how nice, how nice. So I want to begin for the beginning. I mean, why did you choose to direct, or which one was your first step in this career?
My first step was when I was at university, and I hadn't done anything with film before. I didn't grow up like as a film geek or anything like that. But I was at a university and I took my first film course and I really fell in love with it. And I was just like, at that school, they would show films on the big screen. So it's not like on your iPad and it's not on your phone. You saw it on the big screen. And I'd never had any thought, knew that there was like a whole industry that you could actually work in, like, and be a part of. So that was my first time. I was like, that's cool. I want to do that. And so I did take some film courses at the university. And then I decided I wanted to transfer to the best university, which was NYU.
What about the technique in filmmaking? I mean, as a teacher, I can imagine that you read a lot about technique. What do you think about technique? Is important? Is not important? Nowadays, which technique do you like most in filmmaking?
Well, I think technique is a sort of catch-all phrase. I think what the more the way like we filmmakers think about it is as craft, and craft is sort of your skill sets and your understanding of the language of cinema, and I think that's very important. Because learning the language of cinema is just like learning any other language, me learning Spanish or learning something else. And you're able to speak to people better, your crew, or get better results when you speak in their language. So as far as technique goes, knowing your craft and knowing, how to work with actors, how to direct a camera, how to light a scene, any of that stuff, I think is very helpful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. For example, when you work with the camera, the one big question is where to put the camera. How do you do that? How do you rehearse that? Go to the location and see, I don't know, the lights, everything with the camera before the shooting.
All of the above. Yes, you definitely want to go to the location before you shoot. I mean, that's a critical part of location scouting. But also you want to see what the scene, you do the rehearsal so you can see where the actors are and what they're doing, what they're giving you. And then you want to figure out what's the meat, what's the scene really about? What's the subtext? And then you place the camera to shoot the subtext. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So once you start working with the actors and blocking it out, it becomes pretty evident where to place the camera.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And talking about actors, I want to know, how do you cast your actors? Can you give us some tips for actors?
Well, how to cast? Well, it depends what the role is and what you need for that and what your sort of vision is, and then you want an actor to surprise you. Especially in the casting, you want them to you don't want always just to be see it, say it. I tell you, or I ask you to do this and you do that. I ask you to do this and you do that. You want them to throw back, how about if we try it this way? So it becomes more of a collaboration. And that's the best working with the talent, when it's a collaboration. It's the other way is more like when I work with models. That's when, like, turn your head, move this way, walk that way, do that. And they like doing that. They don't, but they're not thinking about their character or what they're emoting or what, you know, what their need is. They just are following directions. Mm-hmm. But the best actors collaborate and come with their own ideas.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So you are a director who talks a lot about the direction to the actors, or maybe just give a lot of freedom?
No, I don't talk. I've been trained. I don't talk very much. I try not to, because, you know, you can talk an actor to death. Also, you can just like, you need them to feel like they own it, and then you're just giving them some guide rails, because you're holding the vision of the whole project. They're holding the vision of their character, but there's other characters, there's scenes, there's themes, there's, you know, subtext. There's all these things that you're holding as the visionary of the project, but you want them to bring. But I'm not in front of the camera, so I want them to, you know, be as deeply in the scene as they can. So I just give them guide rails. Mm-hmm. Less a lot of talk.
I remember from your classes that you talk a lot about the colors. Can you tell us about the importance of the colors when you are writing on a scene at the beginning, or maybe while you are working on a scene?
Well, that's a whole color science, and color theory is a whole other thing that is really interesting, and people react, like just as people react to audio. There's audio, sound, and sound design is a very intense way to maneuver your audience to get them to feel what you want them to feel. And color theory and what characters are wearing, or what the scene looks like, is very really speaks to people on a very deep level, and it's sometimes on a less conscious level, and so you want to sort of use that. I always feel the directors like the magician or the circus thing is like, you create this world, but you're going for, you want the audience to feel a certain way. And so all your sort of tricks that you do, or things that you come up with, is how do you get the audience to have a feeling, or get scared, or get excited, or how do you get them enmeshed in your project? And color, use of color either in the wardrobe or production design, or in your lighting, is a great tool. Mm-hmm. in that maneuvering of your audience's emotions.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember which one was your first job?
Very long time ago, I did a job for a makeup company. I did these like art films. They were like live action, the flamenco dancer. It was sort of at a big event, and it was a company that is MAC Cosmetics now. But that was all those people were, all the presidents and the people I was working for. It was right before they went to MAC. And so I did a project for them, and then they went to MAC Cosmetics, and then I did 8 short creative films for MAC Cosmetics, and that's sort of how I launched my career.
Mm-hmm. So you work with a lot of big brands, the best brands in the world, I say, because I was going to say in America, but not in all the world. How is the work with these big brands? You have a lot of commitment and a lot of responsibility, or not?
Exactly, Veronica. There's a lot. I just finished working with Walmart and the NFL last week, 2 weeks ago, and there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of cooks, and there's a lot of people. I mean, when you're on set, there, you know, you're just on, especially with COVID. For the first time, I've never had any clients on set with me, because no one could come to the shoot, so they all are on Zooms.
Your clients go to the set with you always?
They always come to set. They always get your
client. So they tell you directions while you are shooting, or not? How is that?
Yes. Yeah. When you're doing commercials, or you're doing branding films, or you're doing anything big budget like that, you do a setup, and they are in Video Village, and they're watching the feedback, and then they give you, they don't tell you what to, they tell you what they need, that we need, you know, can she say it again? Can we do the scene again? Because we need her to be more salesy. They don't say it in like actor language. They say it in like result language. We need her to be more happy. And so then you have to translate that to the actor and be like, you know, this is, you know, you're celebrating your sister's birthday. Like, act as if you're celebrating your sister's birthday and you're so excited about it. That's translating be more happy. Because actors hate being told be this way or be like, because how do you be something? So anyway, but in normally on any shoot that's for a client that's paying you money, the ad agency and the client, so you have the whole ad. So you know, there's like as many as 50 people in Video Village watching, you know, monitors, and then giving you their input. So, but this was the first time ever in my entire career that we were all on, so they had to feed through the camera, which went to like 3 different states, because they were all spread out, and then they watched it, and then the producer was with them feeding their feedback, and then they would tell me what the feedback was.
So you have to have a lot of time for that. So you have to wait that they see it or not.
But they know that you do, but they also know that time is money, and if you're not shooting all the time, then you're missing out. Then they're not going to get all these shots while we're waiting for you to decide if you like that take or not. So they're the bigger the shows you're on, the more experienced the client is. And so this is not their first rodeo with doing a commercial. They understand it's only so many hours in a day. If we keep waiting around for you to make a decision, we're never going to shoot anything.
You work a lot with these brands, but also work a lot, I read about the information that you sent me, with a lot of artists, you know, like superstars, musicians like Britney Spears, Quincy Jones. How was your experience with Britney Spears? Which one was the video that you shot?
That was a long time ago. I was at a rockumentary. I went on tour with her.
Nice.
But that was cool. I mean, we were in stadiums and she filled out stadiums. So that was way, way a long time ago, but it was a really fun experience, you know, you're on the stage and before you is like 1 million people, and you're like, wow, no wonder rock stars like this. This is so cool. Because you just go like that, and the whole crowd would like do something.
Wow.
And they'd all wave back at you, like all these people. So,
but I can imagine that shooting must be perfect because you don't have a second time to shoot,
right?
No, or not?
No, you don't. No, you don't. Not when you're doing music video, you do, but not when you're on rock tours. Oh. Then you're getting sort of live documentary style.
So you put a lot of cameras in these videos?
Sometimes, depends. Sometimes just single cameras, depends what you're doing or what you're shooting on or what it's for.
Mm-hmm. In this profession that you have a lot of experience, did you pass for hard moments, for example, moments where you don't have a job or whatever, and you say, what I'm doing here?
Oh, many times, Veronica. I think it happens every other week. No, it's many times where things didn't work out the way I wanted to, or I didn't get the job that I was bidding on, or didn't get into the thing that I wanted to get into, or, you know, I think all filmmakers have this. It seems like it's just, but for at least from me, from my point of view, it's very one step after another. You know, and it's not necessarily that there's this brass ring, like, oh my God, I have to get to there. But it is, I think, as you always want to have new experiences and you always want to be better. And the only way you honestly do get better, you can study as much as you want, and it's really worthwhile studying, but you got to be making things. That's the only way your craft gets better.
because it's a making profession.
It is.
It is.
It's a production of it.
Yeah, it is impossible not to. So talking about making profession, I want about your film, Other People's Children.
Mm-hmm.
That you received a lot of awards, Best Director, Best Feature Film, Best Audience Award. In which year did you do
We released it in 2016, in 2016, yeah. So now a while ago. now I'm on, it's funny, once you sort of get done something, after a while you're like, wait, what? That's in the rear mirror. I'm looking in the forward mirror,
Uh-huh. And how was your first experience shooting? And
that was honestly, that was a tough project. That was like not a lot of money. It's a female centric character who falls in love with a homeless man and tries to save him. And it's a lot about trying to fill yourself with outside things, mm-hmm. and not really getting to know yourself. And that was challenging, but it is a very beautiful film, and it was really wonderful. I had a really great cast, and it was just really excellent to work with. But I made all the mistakes that like your first indie feature you could make, with bad deals and some producers that weren't quite the ones who should be on the project, things like that you now looking back, hopefully those challenges won't happen on my next project. But
one director said to me in one interview that you shoot movies and then you learn while you are shooting, because that's all the mistakes that you are learning on.
Exactly.
How do you manage? Because I didn't see the movie, but I saw the trailer today. It's beautiful. I want to see the movie. How do you manage to compose or to talk to the actors about these homeless characters? Because it's hard,
Well, totally. We actually had, but what's also homeless youth, which is a different, homeless youth are a little bit, especially like in Los Angeles, there's kids that have been kicked out and like are on drugs and stuff like that. And there's also a whole group of like rebels that sort of like iconoclasts that want to do their own thing. So we actually hired a couple of those type to be in the film. And so they were
homeless. They were really homeless.
They were really homeless. Yeah, but we put them in a hotel when we were shooting, so then they weren't so homeless at that point. They seemed to like that. But I just tried to make it, it's not, let's say this project, that is much, it has a more of a surreal take on it. It's not as reality as like a documentary on homelessness, which it's more about the emotionality of being homeless, which is a very fine take, but it's like, you can be surrounded by friends, but you feel home. You don't feel at home in yourself. Yeah. And this girl, her father died, and she tried to substitute it with this guy she met who was a homeless guy. And so how did she try to fill that void from the outside? Mm-hmm. And that was sort of what the project was about.
Mm-hmm. And you put this film in a lot of festivals. How is that work how do you manage to go with your film to a lot of festivals? Because it's hard work. You have a producer who do that.
No, you have to do it especially in the indie world. And I'm talking to a good friend of mine who I've just worked with, a producer, and it's like, at the end of the day, you're lucky when you're doing a project like a feature film that there are 2 or 3 people left around at the end. Everyone goes, everyone leaves, and you have to do all the work. And so, but you have to basically no one cares as much as you do. If it's your project that you raise the money for, no one really cares. And no one really cares, honestly. I mean, they do, but not really. Like, it's fun to work on, but do they really want to keep working on it once it's done or once they've been paid? Not really. So it is up to you. And I've had friends who've done this much more effectively, because who really aggressively did the film festival route and did they did their own indie distribution thing, and they did this. They did a lot of more footwork than I did. But I will say I've been offered my next. I'm going to. The film will be out overseas in the year. so people will be able to see it, because we don't have a distribution deal outside of America. So, but that will happen in this next year. So everyone out there can see other people's children at some point. And it is a beautiful film, and it'd be great for people to see.
Yes, I want to see it here in Argentina.
Yep, exactly.
Please,
exactly.
Please. And then you did a VR film for Byton Auto, I don't know how to
audio, yeah.
Auto. That was nominated also for Best Branded Entertainment Commercial.
Yeah, so I've done a bunch of new tech, and I just did a new tech experience in AR called augmented reality, which is like a hologram. So augmented reality are like holograms. It's like, what was it? Remember they had Pokemon? Did you guys have Pokemon on your phone, and you could go outside and see Pokemon?
Yes.
That's similar technology. So I just did something with what I was just saying with the Walmart and the NFL, so that technology, but a life-size NFL player, like a real person. But wow. So new tech is interesting because it's still storytelling, and it's still you're making something, for audiences, but you're doing it in different methodologies, which I find is interesting. And coming from also being a cinematographer, I like the technical. I think it's if you use it to help tell your stories.
Mm-hmm. So did you study this new tech?
No, I learned on the job.
Wow.
How good.
You can
learn it on the job, but it's cool. And honestly, there's a lot of women in VR in that space.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot more women in that space. I mean, there's a lot of women directors now already, which is great. But even in VR has always been sort of more egalitarian. So there's a lot of, spaces for women to be in there.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the feminism, because I love to talk about that. I wanted to ask you if it was hard for you as a woman to manage in movie business.
Looking back, it's funny. It's a good question, Veronica. Looking back, it was really hard. And I was like, how did I even do that? Because this was I did it before Me Too, before it was like cool to be a chick filmmaker, or like that. And Me Too came about, or that ilk of it in the film industry is because all the guys, like say this in the commercial world, all the guys were bidding their bros. Oh, we want to work with our bro. We want to work with our bro on this project. We want to bro. But so if you're a girl, how do you, and you're not buddies, how do you get with a creative director? How do you get in? Mm. And then they were always like, well, yeah, but the girls don't have Nike on their reel. They don't have Adidas. And you're like, well, we haven't been given a chance to bid on those projects. So how would we have them on our reel? So that's what's changed, is that they saw that it was very lopsided, that only very few people were like allowed what they call, and I'm sure in the future, into the bid. There's only a few people on that feature list. And people were suspect if they didn't know the person on the list. So, but now I feel there's a much more opening in the world, because women, different people and diverse people have been knocking down the door a bit and calling it out and calling people out on it, saying it just can't be, one gender and one ethnicity doing all the projects. That's just lame.
Yes. I can imagine because sometimes the woman's works as a director, but the people doesn't listen to her because it's a woman. Just because it's a woman word,
I've never had that, but I'm sure it does happen. And why I've never had it is because I've always been so, I love learning. So I've always been, so I'm at my best when I'm in the director's seat, and I have a competence there. So I've never had anyone second guessing me, but I'm sure, but that comes because I also have craft. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I trained enough that I can walk the walk.
Mm-hmm. And how is the Me Too movement nowadays?
It's interesting. Well, I'd be curious to hear what it's like for you guys over in South America, because it's been a bit overshadowed by many other movements, which is fine. It's great. People of color, different other movements have sort of come up, which is timely, and it should. But so I'm not sure. I think there's still, it's not as ferocious as it was, let's say, a year and a half ago, where it's suddenly like every guy producer was being called out for being a misogynist. But I still think, there's still a lot of energy there, but not as much.
Not as much. Yes. I can imagine it's hard. It's hard for you in America that you have the movement, but here in South America, I think it's worse.
Really?
We are fighting. We have a lot of movement here of women, but it's hard in every profession, I guess. And also here we have a lot of women who are killed by the husband or the boyfriend. Or whatever. That's happened also in America. We call this femicidios. That is like a woman homicides.
Really? Yes. And that's pretty prevalent. That's a lot of that happening.
Yes, a lot. It's terrible. There is a lot of how do you say machismo? Machismo. Yeah. Yes. There is a lot of machismo here in Argentina. It happens also in America or not?
Not as much, not to that level, because, and is it because are women paid a lot less than men on par for the same job?
Yes. Also, it's terrible. We are fighting a lot, but every day, if you see the news, the newspaper, there are a lot of killers.
Wow.
It's hard. Really, because you die just because you're a woman.
Right, or someone got upset with what you said.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, let's go back to the movie business. This, if you weren't a director, which profession would you choose?
I've always wanted to be like a rock drummer, like a drummer in a band. And I'm not great. And I've taken some drumming lessons. I'm not great at it yet, but I should take some more. But I always thought that would be super fun to be a drummer.
Yeah. Which movies are your 5 top 10? What inspired you from that movies?
Well, the first movie that got me into the film that really opened my eyes is a Bertolucci movie called The Conformist. And it's Bernardo Bertolucci, and it came out in the 70s, but it's about the 30s in Italy with fascism, but it's very visual and it's very moody, and it's seen as like a not a cult film, but like a very renowned film. Mm-hmm. And it's shot by Vittorio Storaro, who is a very well-known cinematographer. And that's when I was at my first university before I went to NYU. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that film could be an art form, like it could be a piece of art.
Do you have an advice for a young director?
Advice is always be nice. You never know who you're going to meet on your path. Be nice. Make things. Always be making things. It doesn't have to be a big whole extravaganza. It can be, I'm doing this year just little, almost just for me projects, like little shorts or more artsy stuff as I'm building other stuff just to make things. Mm. And, yeah, I think those are the 2 pieces of advice. I think that will hold you well if you do those things.
Mm-hmm. Liz, which one is your dream as an artist?
Well, you'd always see yourself like standing on the stage with that Oscar, like that would be a dream. But there's a couple projects they're long form, 2 features that just to have them made and made at the level that I want to have them made and made with like the talent that I would like to have, that would be a dream. Mm-hmm. That would be very exciting.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that needs to be changed in the movie industry nowadays?
Well, I mean, they're starting with the hours. I mean, that's been the whole, it's all fine and dandy to be the director, but when you're working crew and you're working 14 to 16 hour days, it's not so much fun. People aren't having the best of time. So I think COVID has been great that they're condensing the hours down a lot because they just can't get crew to do that anymore at that level, at that sort of breakneck pace where you have no life and you're just exhausted all the time. I think that needs to change. And I think there is on most sets, because we've come from a Piscean era, it's very stratified of like, it's like the army, this hierarchy. And this hierarchy is all about the blame game. Who did that? You did that. Let's blame someone else. Let's blame, oh, they did that. Oh, I didn't do that. They did that. So I think that needs to change. Like in sort of the, younger generations where they're doing coding and stuff like that, they all share code. It's much more egalitarian. Everybody sort of, it's much more about the collaboration. It's not about who's on top of who and who's boss. It's a much more what they call open frame system. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be helpful for the film business because it feels somewhat antiquated. It's been the same machine since the film business started, and it's sort of based on the army. It's based on going to war. And maybe there's a different way to do it. That's
more democracy, maybe more
democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, you still need a vision and you still need a captain, but it doesn't always have to be so stratified. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I'm in the union, and so it's like when you're in the union, it's even more stratified. You're doing your job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you were shooting recently. Which one are the new protocols for filmmaking?
Testing. Oh, you're getting tested. So you test before you go into set.
Every day or no?
Not every, I mean, I had a short project, but everybody's being tested on the longer projects like every 3 days.
Every 3 days. So, and the people can go back to their houses, or maybe they are living in a hotel just to.
No, they're going back to their houses, but you come out in pods, and it's definitely it is sort of like a military structure. Like the yellow team is going to go in and do things, and the red team goes in, and I have a friend who's working on the new Star Wars TV series, and she was telling me how just maneuvering everything around is a whole logistics right now.
It's nice that the difference for the colors, yellow team is good. It's good. So, what do you like most from America?
That's a large question. What do I like most in America? Well, I like that we have a new president now.
Oh, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I really like that. I like we have a new vice president.
It's a woman.
And a woman, exactly. So I really like that. And, I don't have to worry so much about machismo and someone trying to kill me because I'm a woman here. So
yes.
I like that too.
But
nice. I love to travel, and I've been to Argentina a couple times, and I like the whole. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What do you like most from Argentina?
Oh, I just like there's that whole, what is it called? Soho, the arts district there in Buenos Aires.
The what?
Arts district. It was called Soho, I think.
Yes.
I like that. I like Buenos Aires. I thought the food was great. Yeah. The architecture was interesting, and it just felt very European.
Yes, it's very European. It also it happens. I think the same. And I know that you live in Italy, so I want to know which thing do you like most from Italy?
I love Italy, and Italy's just what my favorite thing was, I was able to go down the coast. You could just go down the coast on a little train, jump off, and then you're at a little beach thing, and everybody has umbrellas, and it's just beautiful. And it's always, you always feel like pretty and sexy running around Italy, you know?
Yes, yes. It's very nice to shoot or not, because the architecture is great.
Yeah, no, the art and the colors and just everything is very pretty.
Yes. Well, Elise, thank you so much for the interview. I want that you can give us your social media so that people can contact to you. And also maybe if you want to say or share one next project.
Okay, so I'll put my, people can reach out to me. I'll give my email address. They have questions or comments, and you can look at my work.
I think everything is going to be okay in America, and I hope you can bring your movies here in Argentina and come to visit me.
I'd love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you to everybody. Bye.